Chaco Canyon, North America's grandest enigma, the colossal desert metropolis. What purpose drove its construction, and why did it vanish so completely, leaving behind only silence? Pause, and let your imagination take hold. Picture yourself standing utterly alone in the vast, unforgiving expanse of the New Mexico desert. A searing wind whips at your face, carrying the dust of centuries, as an infinite tapestry of stars unfurls above you, stretching into the deepest cosmic dark. All around are monumental stone walls, rising sheer and straight, constructed with an astonishing precision that would make even today's most accomplished engineers marvel in disbelief. This isn't a scene from a Hollywood epic. This isn't some ancient myth whispered through generations. This is Chaco Canyon, the heart of a profound mystery where an ancient civilization dared to defy the harshest desert in North America. Here, they meticulously engineered and erected a colossal supercity, a true desert metropolis, only to vanish into an absolute, chilling silence. There was no cataclysmic war, no piles of fallen bodies, no clear, definitive explanation. All that remains are enigmatic, perfectly straight roads that seem to stretch into oblivion across the desert, alongside questions that have haunted and perplexed scientists and archaeologists for hundreds of years, stealing their sleep. If your understanding of North American history is limited to nomadic tribes and scattered settlements, then prepare for this journey to fundamentally reshape your perception of the past. Once you step into the world of Chaco, you won't be able to look away. And perhaps you will never quite view the modern world, with all its certainties, in the same way again. Today, nestled within the parched, rugged badlands of northwestern New Mexico, lie the haunting remnants of a place that countless archaeologists universally refer to as North America's greatest, most profound enigma. It is not mysterious because of its diminutive size or its insignificance. On the contrary, it confounds us precisely because it is so extraordinarily vast, so meticulously precise in its execution, so utterly ambitious in its scope, and most disturbingly of all, almost nobody truly comprehends its ultimate purpose. Deep within a canyon system, virtually devoid of native trees, an ancient civilization, now known as the ancestral Puebloans or Chacoans, orchestrated an astounding feat of engineering and logistics. They painstakingly transported hundreds of thousands of heavy timber logs, each weighing hundreds of pounds, across grueling distances exceeding 50 miles, 80 kilometers. This monumental effort was undertaken for one reason: to construct multi-story megalithic stone structures in a place that, by all accounts, should never have been able to sustain such an endeavor. And then, as if performing a magic trick for the ages, they vanished. Not amidst a great war that left battlefields strewn with bodies, not in a cataclysmic collapse signaling an apocalypse. There are no definitive markers of their demise. Only the stoic, silent stone walls remain, standing sentinel under the same ancient, star-dusted New Mexico sky. The most chilling aspect of Chaco Canyon is not what we times do, times know. It is the vast, unsettling ocean of what we still times, cannot possibly fathom, even to this very day. A little over a millennium ago, the arid San Juan Basin was an unbelievably harsh, uncompromising land. Daytime temperatures soared to scorching, unbearable highs, while the nights brought a penetrating, skin-chilling cold. Rainfall was a rare, precious commodity, and the soil was notoriously poor in vital nutrients. To add to the challenge, sudden, violent flash floods could erupt, sweeping away an entire season's hard-won crops in mere hours. Yet, it was precisely within this seemingly desolate and impossible environment that the ancestral Pueblo people cultivated something utterly unprecedented in North America at that time. They engineered towering, multi-story buildings that dwarfed any contemporary structures. They laid out immense plazas, expansive open spaces for gathering. They constructed monumental great kivas, vast, subterranean ceremonial chambers that served as the spiritual heart of their communities. And most strikingly, They etched perfectly straight roads, some appearing as wide as modern highways that sliced through the desert terrain as if drawn by a colossal, divine ruler. What remains most shocking to researchers is that this entire Chaco phenomenon, this explosion of architectural and cultural complexity, occurred in less than 2 centuries, a blink of an eye in the grand sweep of history. It's a testament to its obscurity that most modern Americans have never even heard of Chaco Canyon. Yet, by approximately 1050 CE, this remote canyon may well have been the largest, most significant center of power, sophisticated belief systems, and far-reaching connectivity throughout the entire American Southwest. The surviving ruins unequivocally demonstrate that their construction was anything but haphazard. Every element was meticulously planned. Structures were often strategically positioned on the north side of the canyon to maximize passive solar gain, absorbing vital warmth during the harsh winter months. Many of these complex edifices align with breathtaking precision to the movements of the sun, the moon, and other critical astronomical phenomena. There are places where, on the exact day of the summer solstice, a single beam of sunlight slices through a narrow rock crevice, like a perfectly honed blade of light, illuminating a specific spot. Imagine, 1,000 years ago, while much of Europe was mired in fragmented feudal warfare and superstition, the ancient Puebloans were tracking the heavens with a level of scientific accuracy that continues to astound modern archaeologists. But this is precisely where the narrative veers from merely remarkable to profoundly strange and unsettling. Take Pueblo Bonito, the undisputed magnum opus of Chaco Canyon, an architectural marvel boasting over 700 individual rooms. Rising 4 imposing stories high, it incorporated dozens of dedicated ceremonial kivas within its D-shaped walls. Its sheer scale was so immense that many early 20th century researchers confidently believed it must have housed tens of thousands of people, a bustling desert metropolis. Yet, modern archaeological excavation, employing rigorous scientific methods, slowly uncovered a truly shocking truth. There were simply not enough hearths for cooking and warmth. Not enough accumulations of domestic refuse, like pottery shards or food scraps, to suggest long-term, dense habitation. And most tellingly, not nearly enough burials within or around the structure to account for a massive population over centuries. In other words, the prevailing theory began to crumble. A significant portion of this magnificent city may never have been used as a heavily populated residential area at all. Imagine the seismic shift in understanding, the sheer cognitive dissonance for archaeologists as they grappled with this revelation. A monumental, meticulously crafted superstructure rising from the heart of the desert, yet almost eerily empty. What then were the Chacoans truly building? Was it a grand ceremonial center, a sacred space for complex rituals? A pivotal site for pilgrimage, drawing people from distant lands, a central seat of immense political and economic power, a spiritual capital, or perhaps was it a colossal, defiant symbol, an audacious declaration that humanity could master and transcend even the most formidable forces of nature? No one can say with absolute certainty. And it is precisely this profound ambiguity, this tantalizing lack of a definitive answer, that imbues Chaco Canyon with an even deeper, more haunting sense of mystery. Intriguingly, the Chacoans were far from isolated, as once widely assumed. Their world was far more expansive and interconnected than many modern minds could ever have conceived. Archaeological excavations at Chaco Canyon have yielded astonishing evidence. The vibrant, iridescent feathers of scarlet macaws, exotic birds native to the humid, tropical jungles of Mesoamerica, thousands of miles to the south, copper bells, intricate artifacts crafted with advanced metallurgical techniques, arrived from regions even further south, possibly from cultures in what is now West Mexico or beyond. And perhaps most astonishingly of all, researchers discovered irrefutable traces of cacao, the very plant from which chocolate is derived, within ancient pottery vessels. Yes, You read that correctly. Over 1,000 years ago, amidst the stark, arid landscapes of New Mexico, the Chacoans were not just consuming, but likely ritually drinking, chocolate imported from distant Central America. This discovery was nothing short of revolutionary, completely altering our understanding of ancient North America. For far too long, many scholarly narratives and popular perceptions portrayed civilizations north of Mexico as relatively small, insular, and unsophisticated communities, largely disconnected from the grander cultural currents of Mesoamerica. But Chaco Canyon stands as a monumental refutation of this narrow view. It unequivocally demonstrates a different truth. These people were deeply connected. They engaged in extensive long-distance trade networks, facilitating the exchange of precious goods. They shared and disseminated complex ideas across vast territories. They were keen observers of the celestial realm, embodying a deep astronomical knowledge. They embarked on massive, ambitious construction projects. And critically, they developed highly organized, intricate social structures that were far more sophisticated and nuanced than many outdated textbooks ever dared to describe. But then, the most fundamental and elusive question arises. Who, precisely, was orchestrating this entire sprawling enterprise? Was there a single, powerful king, a monarch ruling from a grand palace? Did an influential priestly class hold sway over religious and societal affairs? Or was it the dominion of a powerful, perhaps even secretive, dynastic lineage? Within a carefully sealed room at the majestic Pueblo Bonito, archaeologists made another extraordinary discovery. Human remains interred not just with reverence, but alongside tens of thousands of exquisite, precious turquoise beads. These were unmistakably not the graves of ordinary individuals. They spoke of immense status, wealth, and spiritual significance. Subsequent groundbreaking DNA analysis of these remains revealed an even more intriguing detail. The individuals buried there shared a common maternal lineage, indicating kinship through the mother's side. This finding led many scholars to theorize the existence of a hereditary leadership class within Chacoan society, one potentially passed down through the maternal line, a powerful matriarchal or matrilineal system. But, once again, the answers remain frustratingly incomplete and shrouded in tantalizing ambiguity. There are no definitive royal palaces in the traditional sense, no grand statues depicting kings or queens, no decipherable written records or hieroglyphs that explicitly name rulers or describe their governmental structures. There is no direct, unambiguous explanation etched in stone. It's almost as if the entire complex of Chaco Canyon was deliberately designed to pose an enduring, unsolvable riddle to future generations. The more we delve into its secrets, the more profoundly mysterious it becomes, each new discovery only deepening the enigma. And then, adding another layer of profound mystification, there are the roads. This particular aspect is perhaps the most difficult for modern sensibilities to fully grasp or even believe. The Chacoans constructed elaborate roadways, some remarkably wide, akin to what we might call modern two-lane highways, stretching for dozens of miles across incredibly rugged and challenging terrain. They did not meander around mountains or gently curve with the contours of hills. Instead, they sliced straight through them, often employing immense labor to cut massive staircases directly into solid rock faces to maintain their unyielding linearity. But here's the profound, unsettling paradox. Many of these meticulously engineered roads seemingly lead to absolutely nowhere. They simply terminate abruptly in the middle of the vast, empty desert. No burgeoning cities, no bustling villages, no obvious practical destination. What then was their true purpose? Were they for large-scale commerce, facilitating trade? Were they sacred pathways for pilgrimages, leading to distant shrines? Were they ritualistic processional routes, connecting the great houses to astronomical observation points or other ceremonial sites? Or were they perhaps tangible manifestations of a complex ideology, a grand cosmological vision that we, in our modern pragmatism, have entirely lost the ability to comprehend? I believe this is precisely why Chaco Canyon so deeply haunts the contemporary mind. We are conditioned to view almost everything through the lens of efficiency and practicality. We build roads to facilitate transportation. We build houses to provide shelter and habitation. We erect grand structures to generate profit or serve clear functional needs. But Chaco presents a radical counter-narrative, revealing that there once existed societies who built not just for survival or convenience, but for profound belief, for intricate astronomical observations, for sacred rituals, for something far grander and more spiritual than mere utilitarian necessity. Perhaps this is why the place continues to evoke such an unsettling discomfort, because it serves as a stark, humbling reminder that humanity once lived and built in ways that were fundamentally and beautifully different from our own. Then, inevitably, nature herself rendered the final, decisive judgment. Around the year 1130 CE, a devastating, prolonged megadrought began to grip the entire San Juan basin, tightening its unforgiving hold. The life-giving rains, already scarce, all but vanished. Agricultural yields plummeted, crops withered in the fields, and precious water sources dwindled to perilous levels, threatening utter desiccation. Chaco Canyon, a marvel built precariously in an already marginal environment, could no longer sustain itself. The most poignant and heartbreaking aspect of this decline is the lack of any dramatic, violent end. There are no signs suggesting the Chacoans perished in a valiant last stand, no battlefields littered with the fallen. There was no Hollywood apocalypse of fire and fury. Instead, the inhabitants simply, slowly, began to depart, one group at a time, one family after another. They migrated away from the sacred, stone-walled heart of their world, seeking survival elsewhere. Until, eventually, the magnificent stone structures stood utterly silent amidst the vast desert, their grand halls devoid of human voices, their plazas empty save for the whisper of the wind. This, I believe, is the most profound and sobering realization. Many great civilizations do not collapse in a single catastrophic night. They fade away incrementally, gradually, almost imperceptibly. One devastating drought, season after another. One desperate migration after another. One generation after another losing faith in the very future their ancestors had so painstakingly built. And often, those living through these twilight years are entirely unaware that they are witnessing the slow, quiet demise of an entire era. Today, Chaco Canyon still lies steadfast under the boundless New Mexico sky, a timeless monument to human ambition and vulnerability. At night, the magnificent Milky Way unfurls its celestial ribbon across the dark heavens, looking precisely as it did 1,000 years ago, casting its ancient light upon the same silent stone walls. The desert wind still sighs and whispers through the mysterious straight roads, carrying echoes of a forgotten past. And the sunlight continues to pierce through the precisely aligned structures, following the very same ancient celestial pathways that the Chacoans so meticulously charted. But the ingenious people who conceived and created all of this, they departed long, long ago. And perhaps the most profound lesson Chaco imparts is not merely an archaeological secret to be unearthed. Instead, it is a potent, urgent reminder for every modern civilization across the globe. It teaches us that even societies that appear immensely powerful, impeccably organized, and extensively interconnected can ultimately vanish if the forces of nature shift and change more rapidly and dramatically than humanity's capacity to adapt. Empires do not always conclude with the thunderous clash of war, the dramatic fall of a capital, or the cries of revolution. Sometimes, they simply end in an echoing, mournful silence. And if, at this very moment, you feel a distinct chill trace a path down your spine, then you have truly connected with the authentic spirit of Chaco Canyon, Try to place yourself in the sandals of an ancestral Puebloan person in the year 1135. You stand atop the magnificent, yet increasingly desolate, roof of Pueblo Bonito, your arm protectively around your small daughter. The desert wind, once a familiar companion, now feels harsher, more relentless than ever before. And you know deep in your heart with a crushing certainty that this may be the very last time you will gaze upon this colossal stone home, this sacred complex that your grandparents and parents poured their sweat, their blood, and their very lives into building. There are no loud lamentations, no theatrical outcries of despair. Only the quiet, profound sadness of a family, a community, forced to abandon everything they know, everything they are, because nature itself has irrevocably turned against them. Modern archaeologists, as they lay their hands upon these ancient walls, still warm from the desert sun, often recount experiencing the very same sensation, a feeling of utter insignificance before the immense, relentless power of time, as if the past itself is murmuring a poignant, urgent warning directed squarely at us, here in the present. In my view, Chaco Canyon offers a value far more profound and enduring than any mere archaeological data point or carbon-dated artifact. It stands as a testament to the universal human yearning, across all eras, to build something greater than ourselves, a powerful symbol of hope, a tangible expression of our spiritual connection to the vast, mysterious cosmos. But simultaneously, it serves as the most candid and sharpest reminder for our world today. We live within a globally interconnected civilization, armed with technologies that far surpass anything the ancestral Puebloans could have ever dreamed of. Yet, eerily echoing their plight, climate change is currently forcing millions of people to migrate, daily, monthly, in desperate search of new homes and sustainable livelihoods. Chaco teaches us, with chilling clarity, that no empire, no civilization, however advanced or seemingly invincible, is truly eternal if we neglect to listen to the fundamental rhythms and warnings of nature. True strength, it implies, does not lie in building the biggest, the grandest, or the most technologically sophisticated structures. Rather, it resides in our collective capacity for adaptation, for humility, and for the wisdom to know when to pause, when to shift course, and when to act responsibly before it is irreversibly too late. Do you feel a tremor resonate deep within your heart? That, my friend, is the lingering vitality of Chaco itself. Its spirit still whispers to us, carried on every hot desert breeze, illuminating us through every precise shaft of solstice sunlight. It beckons us to remember. If this profound narrative has stirred your thoughts and challenged your perceptions, please take a moment to like this video right now to support deep, meaningful, and thought-provoking content. Share it with your friends and family, inviting them to join in the exploration of these lingering, unfinished mysteries of history. And if you wish to continue this journey of uncovering the past and contemplating its urgent lessons for our future, then subscribe to this channel immediately. Together, we will relentlessly seek out stories that cultivate humility in the face of history and bestow greater wisdom as we navigate the complexities of our future. Thank you for staying with us until this final, reflective moment. We look forward to seeing you in our next exploration.